Okay, so I am going to walk through my workflow with skin. Sorry. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually duplicate my layer. And then I just go through with the spot healing brush and clean up just a few spots that I see. Okay, so then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to run just a little bit of dodge and burn. Which you can do with the fill layer or however you do your typical dodge and burn. Then I bring my flow way down. So then what I'm doing here is I'm just going to soften any of the transitions. So there is a harsh shadow around her nose. Cleaning up some of the shadow here. I'm going to blend some of her eyeshadow there. The lighting was fairly even on this one, so there's not going to be a ton of harsh shadows that I need to clean up. But then maybe just a little bit here under her chin. Okay. So the idea here is not to get rid of the shadows, I'm just really softening them. Okay. So then I'm going to go back in with my burn and look for the same thing anywhere where there's like a harsh highlight. I'm just going to very softly blend it. So I'm burning them just a little bit to smooth that transition from the highlights to the shadows. Okay, so we still have some soft shadows on her face, but they're quite a bit softer now. Okay, I'm going to merge, and then I'm going to run my frequency separation. I like to set my radius at 5. I found that that's the one that works the best for me typically. And the focus here on her eyes is a little bit soft, but this will still work for this. So then on the texture layer, I'm going to use my clone brush, and I'm just going to start sampling places where I like the texture. Clean up. I just constantly resample. Nope, did not resample there. So I'm cleaning up the texture here. between her eyes and a little bit under her eyes here. And a little bit above her mouth. So I'm just constantly resampling to go through and clean up. Okay. So clean up her eyes a little bit here. Make sure your cloning is set to current layer. That's one thing I didn't point out. Okay. So the other thing too is you can clean up any, sometimes I use this to clean up any of the texture that is showing up on the fabric that I didn't take care of before when I did my cleanup. Okay. So already you can see just from cleanup here, starting to just be a lot softer. Alright, so then I'm going to go into my color layer, my light or my color and light layer. And this one is where I kind of break the rules from what other people say. I have my feathering set at 20. I grab my lasso tool and then I'm just going to start blending, filter, a Gaussian blur, and I like to keep mine between 8 and 12. That's a lot higher than probably what most people would recommend. But that's what I use when I'm doing this. So then I just go through. And then a lot of times after I do this, I'll just lower the opacity of my frequency separation layer. I feel like it's a little bit overboard. I'm just really looking to smooth the transitions. If I were doing like headshots, I probably wouldn't go this heavy with the frequency separation. But since I'm wanting it to kind of have that really painterly look, I'm going a little bit heavier with this. Okay, so you can see that's quite soft. So I actually don't like how soft that is. I will be going through and reducing the opacity once I'm done. But it is giving her the nice painterly look there. And then I oftentimes will even do this to my fabrics. Just to soften things up. So then I'm going to come here and reduce that to where I'm happy with it. So then on this brush layer that I have between my texture and my color layer, I am going to grab my brush again, make sure the flow is very low. And again, I'm just going to constantly sample and resample and literally just paint on my image here. And that gives it the really soft painterly look. But then I still at least keep my textures. It also evens out the skin tones a little bit more as well. Okay. So you can see the before and after. It is very soft. I wouldn't recommend doing this on like normal images. But it is nice for when you're going for a really painterly look. So I'm going to clean up her leg here. Oops. So, and especially because she's pregnant, you can see she's got just some veins and such that I'm sure she doesn't want accentuated in her image. I'm trying not to go too big, like to blur some of the details. Like on your knuckles or on your knees, you can go too overboard and then it looks really plasticky. So anywhere where there's some shadow there, I try to leave that. And then I would normally go through here and paint to even out. Actually, I could do that. So go back to my brush. I'm going to grab this, sample this color here, and just paint some of that in to even out some of this at a very low flow. Okay, so this is very soft. Now what I'm going to do is go through, this is my dodge and burn action I've created, so it's literally just a blank layer. Come here to fill, put it on 50% gray, 100% opacity, hit OK. And then change this to either overlay or soft light. And then I'm going to grab, you can either use the dodge and burn, or if you want it to be a little bit even more dramatic, just using your white and black brush. But then I'm going to come in here again at a low flow and just start painting and dodging and burning. So, and that's really how I get them to look very painterly, is with a lot of dodging and burning and a lot of literal painting using my brushes. So anywhere I'm seeing a highlight, I'm just painting over it here. I'm going to add a little bit here to her eyes to brighten those up. And then come in with the black brush and give her a little bit of shadow up above the eye. So this is just creating a little bit of contrast. It seems like almost like we're undoing a little bit of what we did at the beginning when we were dodging and burning and softening the shadows. But for me, I like to go through that process and then bring them all back in, just because it evens it out a little bit more. And it ends up giving just a really soft depth. So you can see, painting some drama back in here, I'm going to add a mask there and just soften some of where I felt like I went overboard. Anyway, that is my skin retouching method. Thank you for watching.